Welcome on the channel Nice Stories. Today we have intriguing story about
I met Emma through my best friend Dave. He and I had been inseparable since childhood, more like brothers than friends. Dave introduced me to his friend group, a tight-knit circle that felt more like family than acquaintances. There were 8 of us in total, and from the moment I joined, I felt like I'd found my tribe. Among them was Emma, a bright, vivacious woman whose laughter was contagious and whose smile could light up any room. Over time, Emma and I grew closer. Late-night conversations turned into shared secrets, and before long, it was clear we had feelings for each other. With Dave's encouragement, I asked her out. She said yes, and our relationship blossomed. Those first few months were like a dream. We spent weekends exploring the city, trying out new restaurants, and curling up together to watch movies. I was convinced I'd found the one. As our relationship approached the 3-year mark, I decided it was time to take the next step. I wanted to propose in a way she'd never forget, perhaps a sunset on the beach, surrounded by candles, or a surprise picnic in the park where we first met. I envisioned her face lighting up with joy as I got down on one knee. To make it perfect, I wanted our friends to be part of the plan. After all, they'd been witnesses to our love story from the beginning. I arranged to meet with the group, excluding Emma, under the guise of planning a surprise party. We gathered at our favorite cafe, the air buzzing with what I assumed would be excitement. "I have some big news," I began, unable to keep the grin off my face. "I'm going to propose to Emma." Silence. The cheerful chatter that usually filled our meetings vanished. They exchanged glances, an unspoken conversation happening right before my eyes. "What is it?" I asked, my smile fading. "Is something wrong?" They mumbled excuses, feigning happiness, but their eyes betrayed them. Finally, Sarah, one of the girls in the group, couldn't hold it in any longer. "You deserve to know," she blurted out. "Emma has been sleeping with Mike since shortly after you started dating." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. "That's not funny," I said cautiously. But no one laughed. Mike looked down at his feet, unable to meet my gaze. "I'm sorry," he mumbled. The walls seemed to close in around me. The cafe noises dimmed until all I could hear was the pounding of my own heart. "Is this some kind of sick joke?" I demanded, my voice shaking. Dave looked as shocked as I was. "I had no idea, mate," he said, placing a hand on my shoulder. Unable to process what I'd just heard, I stood up abruptly, the chair scraping loudly against the floor. "I need to get out of here," I muttered, pushing past them. Dave followed me outside. "Let me drive you home," he offered. We spent the next few hours at his place, me pacing back and forth, him trying to offer comfort. My phone buzzed incessantly, calls and texts from Emma and others in the group. I ignored them all. The next day, Emma showed up at Dave's apartment. He intercepted her at the door. "He doesn't want to see you," I heard him say firmly. "Please, I just need to explain," she pleaded. "Explain what?" I shouted from inside. "That you've been lying to me for 2 years?" She left in tears, and I collapsed onto the couch, numbness washing over me. Over the following days, the full extent of the betrayal unfolded. Dave met with some members of the group to get the whole story. Emma and Mike had been secretly involved 3 months into our relationship. It wasn't a one-time mistake, but an ongoing affair. Worse yet, everyone in the group knew about it, except for Dave and me. They'd kept it hidden, watching me play the fool, all the while sharing knowing glances behind my back. I scrolled through social media, seeing pictures of them all hanging out, Emma and Mike now openly together, the rest of the group acting as if nothing had happened. They even tagged me in posts, adding captions like "miss you" and "wish you were here." A twisted mockery. The realization hit me hard. I'd not only lost the woman I loved, but also the friends I thought were family. All except Dave. He cut ties with them immediately, disgusted by their deceit. "You don't deserve this," he told me. "We're better off without them." But the pain lingered. Nights were the worst. I'd lie awake, replaying moments in my mind, wondering how I missed the signs, questioning every laugh, every shared moment. Was any of it real? One evening, I received a connection? I scoffed. "You chose to betray me over and over again." She reached out to touch my hand, but I pulled away. "I cared about you," she insisted. "Part of me still does." "Part of you?" I echoed. I was ready to spend the rest of my life with you. I was going to propose. She looked away, guilt etched on her face. I didn't know, she said softly. Silence stretched between us, filled with words left unsaid. Finally, I stood up. I hope you find whatever it is you're looking for, I told her, but I can't be a part of it. As I walked away, a weight began to lift off my shoulders. The road to healing would be long, but I knew I had to start somewhere. In the months that followed, I focused on rebuilding my life. I threw myself into work, picked up old hobbies, and even started volunteering at a local animal shelter. The simple act of caring for abandoned pets brought unexpected joy. Dave remained a constant support. We'd go hiking on weekends, grab beers at our favorite pub, or just hang out playing video games like we used to in college. One day, he mentioned a new group he joined, a community gardening club of all things. You should come, he urged. It's surprisingly therapeutic. I laughed but decided to give it a shot. To my surprise, I enjoyed it. There was something satisfying about nurturing plants, watching them grow over time. It was at the garden that I met Lily. She was tending to a patch of sunflowers, her face smudged with dirt, a stray lock of hair falling into her eyes. She caught me looking and flashed a bright smile. First time? She asked. Is it that obvious? I replied sheepishly. She laughed. Don't worry, we all start somewhere. Over the next few weeks, Lily and I became friends. She was easy to talk to, her laughter infectious. One afternoon, as we were packing up, she asked if I'd like to grab coffee sometime. I hesitated, memories of Emma still fresh. But then I thought about how far I'd come. Yeah, I said, smiling. I'd like that. As we sat in a cozy cafe, chatting about everything from favorite books to travel dreams, I realized that despite the pain of the past, life had new possibilities to offer. I won't pretend that everything was instantly perfect. There were still moments of doubt, nights when the old hurt resurfaced. But with time, those moments grew fewer and farther between. Looking back, I see that the betrayal taught me valuable lessons about trust, resilience, and the importance of surrounding myself with people who genuinely care. I lost someone I thought would be my wife, but I gained a friend for life and found strength I didn't know I had. And perhaps, just perhaps, new beginnings were waiting just around the corner. It's been months since it all happened, and while the pain hasn't completely faded, it's become more manageable. Healing isn't linear, and there are days when the weight of it all feels heavy. But I've learned that it's okay to grieve, to acknowledge the hurt, and to take the time I need. If anyone reading this has gone through something similar, know that you're not alone. It might sound cliché, but time does help. Surround yourself with those who truly care about you, and don't be afraid to seek new experiences. Life has a way of surprising us when we least expect it. So, while I lost a relationship and a group of friends I thought would be in my life forever, I'd gained a deeper understanding of myself. I found new passions, met incredible new people, and discovered that even after the darkest storms, the sun still rises. Thank you for taking the time to read my story.